Young Indians pursuing different goals in varied arenas are thinking differently, creating new business models, and influence our life and times more comprehensively than at any time in our history. Where do you think? It's a long sentence. Yes, it is. Always these long sentences, seem very complicated. But break it down. See where you think the error is. I'm going to give you 15 to 20 seconds. Let's see if you're able to identify the answer. Which part has the error? Were you guys able to identify the error? Young Indians pursuing different goals in varied arenas. What are they doing? They are thinking differently. They are creating new business models and influence our life and times more comprehensively. So in that context itself, I can clearly say this is an error pertaining to parallelism, parallel structure, right? Yeah, why? Thinking, ing form, creating, ing form, but influence is not in the ing form. I need the ing form here. The error is in part, this is C actually, yeah, error is in part C. You change influence to influencing. That's it. So this is an error pertaining to parallelism, right? Young Indians pursuing different goals in varied arenas are thinking differently, creating new business models, and influencing our life and times more comprehensively than at any time in our history. Now that you have the idea of the concept, a lecture is an oral presentation intended to present information or teaching people about a particular subject. Where do you think the error is? A lecture is an oral presenting. See, this is basically a noun phrase, right? An oral presentation. Article, adjective, noun. Noun form is what I need. A lecture is what? An oral presentation. A lecture is what? A presentation. So I need the noun form here. I don't need to change presentation to presenting. Doesn't make sense. Intended, which means what? The plan, the purpose, the objective or the aim of the presentation is to what? Present information. Intended is the verb form, boss. We don't have to change intended to intention, right? This is the verb. This is the action. What is the presentation trying to do? Intended to present information, or nobody has come back with the right answer. The right answer is option D. The error is in option D. Why? Because of this or and. Remember, we are in the concept of parallelism, which means to present, to plus verb, or there is an ing form here contradicting the parallelism, right? Either I say, and I know when I have intended, it usually follows a to plus verb, right? Because intended means plan. I plan to do something. He or she is intended to work or not work. There's always a to plus verb after intended as a verb, which means I can't change anything in option C. But what I can change in option D is that ing form teaching to teach, right? Intended to present information or to teach people about a particular subject. The error is in part D, where we change teaching. I change the ing form to the infinitive form so that it is parallel with the previous context in part C. A lecture is an oral presentation intended to present information or to teach people about a particular subject. I need the infinitive form here. Clear? Are you guys with me? Are you following? Do we have any doubts? Let me give you an example sentence. Intended as a, see for example, if I say, I'm just going to write a sentence here. The lecture was intended to encourage, but it was more a distraction. So concept 1, what I'm trying to say is, we cannot change anything here in part C, right? Intended, here is a verb form, and if you notice after intended I have the to plus verb, to encourage, but it was more a distraction, right? So this, having said this, I can only make changes in part D, making sure that this ing form is in line with the to plus verb form. lectures, and the clue word is your or, and these are all synonym hint words. When I say synonym hint words, I can say, I think he is furious or angry. I can say both because furious and angry are synonyms in meaning, right? So whenever there are clue hint words like or, and, whichever gives me a synonym meaning, I need to look at the structure before and after. I need to make sure that they are in line. That's what we looked at the previous context also. Why did we change influence to influencing? Because if you look at the previous context, everything else is in the ing form, thinking, creating, right? But influencing is not in the ing form. I need to change that. This is the concept of parallelism. When I say parallelism, which means think of two lines running parallel to each other, right? Which means they have to be the same. So that's what we're looking at. That is the concept that we're looking at. So there are errors pertaining to parallelism, and some of the hint words are these synonym hint words that we need to look out for, and make sure in terms of construction, if there is a gerund, then put a gerund. If there is an infinitive form, put an infinitive form. If there is a particular tense that has been established, then make sure the entire context is following that particular tense. Let's look at some more examples so you'll understand. Okay, India is emerging as a hotbed of mobile applications with an app now available for every need, ranging from hiring a cab to measure air quality in a city. Where do you think is the error? Pay attention. So far we've looked at we still in the concept of parallelism. There is a clue for you in the context. Okay, sometimes correlative conjunctions like not only but also, either or, neither nor, so that, subordinative conjunctions, all of this, I hope I'm not using too much of technical terms for you. These are all very basic grammar terms which we've covered in our basic grammar for reference videos. So if you're thinking, what is she saying, superlative, subordinating conjunctions and correlative conjunctions, if you're a little confused, I would want you to go and check those videos, but I'm assuming you know all that. Okay, there also you can look for parallelism structure. So I'm going to put the question back. Let's see if you're able to identify what is that clue structure and then identify where the error is. Let's change a hotbed to the hotbed. Right? India is emerging as a hotbed. What is the meaning of hotbed here? Any idea what does it mean? Hotbed. If somebody is referring to something as a hotbed, what do they mean by it? When I say something is a hotbed, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of attraction, there's a lot of activity happening, right? Where everybody is focusing on that, but the activity is not usually positive. It's usually like an unwanted or unpleasant activity. Right, something that people are not looking forward to, it's not very welcoming. That's the meaning of hotbed. India is emerging as a hotbed of mobile applications with an app now available for every need, ranging from, so in the context, usually that's what it is, but the context is probably talking about, okay, in terms of this particular field or industry, mobile applications, this particular sector, India is emerging as a hotbed. Okay, now the expression is, we never say something is the hotbed. You're coming back and saying, because we're specifically talking about India, let's change a to the. No. Whenever you're referring to something, it's an expression and it is always used as a hotbed. So let me give you some example sentences. Okay, if I say, okay, in the 60s, the city was a hotbed of crime, right? It's always a hotbed. Or I can say the police department was a hotbed of corruption, right? So if you look at both these example sentences, I'm saying a hotbed and I'm not saying the hotbed, even though I'm talking about the city and the police department. Yeah. So yes, it does. Both these example sentences that I shared is where it talks about, unwanted, unpleasant activity, right? Because we're talking about crime and corruption, which is negative in meaning. But I don't want to, generalize saying a hotbed is only used to refer to something negative. It can also be used to simply refer to something where, hey, we're saying a lot of activity is happening there, right? So, for example, I can say Mumbai is a hotbed of software publishing, right? Just as an example. So here I'm not generally saying, hey, I'm using hotbed to talk about something negative. No, I'm just saying this is where activities pertaining to software publishing is a lot in Mumbai, right? So in that given context, this meaning is what this context is bringing. A lot of activity is happening around mobile applications. India is emerging as a hotbed. So no change in part A. Part A is correct as it is. The error, which is with an application now available for every need, ranging, can somebody tell me what is the clue phrase? How did you know that you need to change measure to measuring? There is a clue phrase. Can somebody tell me what that clue phrase is? Yeah, we want to make sure it is parallel in construction with respect to hiring a cap and measuring air quality. I agree. Error is in part D, no doubt. But what is the clue phrase that enabled you or helped you identify that is where the error is? From to construction. है ना? Do you notice this? From hiring a cab to measuring air quality in a city. Are you with me? From to. Let's look at an example sentence with that construction. Right? So I can say, I visited many cities in Asia from Hong Kong to Beijing, Tokyo to Taipei, right? So that from to construction is very, very important. That's what brings in the parallelism. Countries, whatever that you're using. When I have a from to, right? If there is an adjective form after from, make sure there's an adjective form after to. If there is a noun form after from, make sure there's a noun form after to. If there is a continuous tense form after from, which is the case in our context, make sure there's a continuous tense after to. Simple. Parallelism. Okay? Let's move on. Ranging, yeah, you can take that as well. Ranging from this to that. Good. Let's see if you are able to identify. The political leaders said the present government has ruined the economy, it has ruined the education system, and it has been ruining the health system of our country. Where is the error? What do you change it to? If you're saying part D is where the error is, what do you change there? What is the general tense in the context? The general tense in the context, let's look at the context. The political leaders said the present government has ruined the economy, it has ruined the education system, and it has been ruining, no, right? I'm talking about present perfect tense. The previous two elements have the present perfect tense, and the third element is having a continuous tense. I don't need that. I need to align it to that present perfect tense. So all I need is delete been, change ruining to ruined. It has ruined. Stick to the it has ruined the health system of our country. Got it? So error is in part D. Change, ruining. I don't need present perfect continuous tense. I need present perfect tense. Change ruining to ruined. Delete been. And it has ruined the health system of our country. Khatam, ho gaya. Public transit such as buses or a train can help reduce air pollution. This is an easy one. I'm going to give you only 15 seconds. See if you're able to identify the error or not. Yes. Present perfect tense. Pay attention to synonym hint word, which you know what it is, and tell me where the error is. Transit means the carrying of either people or things, right, from one place to another. So, do we say public transit? Yes, we do say public transit. There's nothing, ideally, the more effective word would be public transport, but there's nothing wrong with public transit also, right? Because the meaning is fine. So we don't have to, it's not like an incorrect or ineffective word choice. Let's make that clear, right? Let me just write that down. So just to give you an example sentence, I can say public transit has always played a crucial role in sustaining Indian cities. Huh? So nothing wrong with that. Clear. Part A is clear. Where else do you think the error is? Right? The error is in part B. As buses or the synonym hint word, not a train, no? Because buses is plural, noun number. है ना? Which means I need to change this also to a plural noun number. Public transit such as buses or trains can help reduce air pollution. That makes sense, right? Error is in part B, right? Or being our synonym hint word, I need both before and after the same word class, or parallelism, buses, trains. Or I can say either ways, I can also say public transport such as a bus or a train. Either ways is fine because both are in part B. I can either change the one before or after, it doesn't make a difference. Okay, follow? There you go. See, my concern is this. We have been looking at the past 5 example sentences on the same concept, parallelism. We should learn to quickly connect and apply our learning immediately. Otherwise we're not going to remember this until the time of the exam, unless I keep taking parallelism concept every other session, which is not feasible, right? Which means apart from this class, you have to go and practice for you to remember. So you have to practice some more examples pertaining to parallelism. So you'll be able to look for those errors, right? It becomes a habit. If I have or and, just make sure those are all synonym hint words. Let me just look if the word class is correct, if the word class is same, if the tense is same, if the noun numbers are same, right? These are all types of errors. We've already looked at word class as an error type, noun numbers as an error type. Yes or no? Yes. Tenses as an error type. In parallelism, my clues are these phrases, not only but also. From, to, so that, either or, neither nor. Right? If you look at these clue phrases, the words that come before and after will be the same, should be the same ideally. If it's not, that's where the error is. Yeah.